Hello, I'm Oral, and welcome to Oral Gives Live. With me, I have a very remarkable Martin lady. It's amazing. I always tell people, if we had 20 like her, boy, I don't know what we'll do. We will have no problems at all. So my guest today, tonight, this afternoon, any time of the day or night that you're watching us, because we're on demand, is a very interesting smart lady, Miss Marcellia Henry. How you doing?
Hi, Mr. Gibbs. Thank you so much for allowing me to come back to have some conversations with you and also to share some of the things that I'm doing as well.
So I hope you didn't mind my introduction.
No, you have me there blushing. I was like, who are you speaking about?
It's always good to have you in the program. So things going with you?
Well, things are going well. I have been busy as usual, doing the work of UNESCO and many of the other things that I do within the community, but I'm happy. I like what I do.
You're in UNESCO Secretary General for St. Martin, right?
Yes, I am. I have been the Secretary General for UNESCO from since 2012 until now, and that's my day-to-day job. And as I did mention, allude to, I do so many other things that I am proud of, and and try to assist and contribute to our St. Martin community.
So, do they give you like a budget that you have to then manage and use the St. Martin? How that works?
That is correct. With being stationed on St. Martin, the way how our government chose was to have the National Commission for UNESCO within the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports.
Yeah.
So that was a decision that our government chose. So I do receive a budget from government, but the great thing with being part of the UNESCO organization is that I also get funding from UNESCO for various projects that are executed on the island.
So every year they decide what projects will be, or how is it done? I'm curious.
Sure. How it is done is that basically every 2 years, UNESCO makes funding available to member states and associate members, which St. Martin is. And it's an associate member, and that has to do with us not being an independent country. And because of that, we are affiliated or classified an associate member, meaning that we do benefit from the funding, from the workshops and trainings of UNESCO. But when it comes to voting on the different things, we are not able to do so. We have to go through our Dutch Kingdom in order to have voting rights or affiliation. And also what we do on St. Martin too is that we have link up our conversations with the other Caribbean islands that are part of UNESCO. So if there is a position, a topic that we support, we also get them to also support the initiative with us.
So as the Secretary General for St. Martin UNESCO, who do you report to?
Yes, for me, the reporting goes to the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, being that we are within the Ministry of Education, and also that to the Secretary General of the Ministry. So Secretary General, but the person that in terms of ensuring that decisions related to UNESCO are executed or anything that is needed, the minister does that. But going back to the funding part, every 2 years, organizations within the community can reach out to my person, and I can later on give my email address, etc., where they can say, well, there is a project that I'm interested in that is based on education issues. It could be environmental issues. It could be projects related to youth development, women development. So if there are projects of that nature, and let me just interject as well, culture related, because UNESCO, United Nations Education, so projects that are education, projects that are cultural. There are also projects that are scientific. So if there are projects that focuses on sustainable development, taking care of our environment, taking care of our coastal, planting trees, etc. UNESCO also focuses on that organization. So if there are projects that organizations within our community might have that falls in line with the missions of UNESCO, they can always submit a project proposal. And what happens is that I peruse, screen them before they are sent on to UNESCO headquarters in Paris.
So you became Secretary General for St. Martin UNESCO after 10-10-10?
That is correct.
Because before that it wasn't possible, right?
Before that, there wasn't a St. Martin National Commission for UNESCO. Rather, there was a Netherlands Antilles National Commission. So what transpired before that is that I volunteered back in those days to be St. Martin's representative then, and meaning that I was one of the many persons from Bonaire, Curacao, Aruba. No, not Aruba, because Aruba left us already.
Yeah.
So Saba, Statia, Bonaire, and Curacao, and St. Martin. So we would normally meet as representatives from the various islands to, one, discuss issues related to UNESCO, think about possible joint projects that we could execute together. And also we had to bring projects from our islands as well to see what is feasible and what we can send on to UNESCO.
Yes.
So even though it is not a funding agency, so I always make it known, it's not a funding agency. However, every 2 years, this opportunity presents itself. So we need to take advantage of it.
What do you like most about your job?
What I love most about my job is that, one, I get to collaborate with many organizations on the island. I'll say for instance, I have collaborated with many of the schools in terms of having school conferences. Last year, for example, and earlier this year, the SCOBA, which is the Milton Peters and Sandaya School, they submitted a project to UNESCO. So that enabled them to have their teachers train in differentiated instruction. So I get to work with those school board, those teachers, and to see them building their knowledge bases. So I like that aspect. And then I'll use another organization. There's the Life organization. That's the one with Ms. Julie Augustine, which will be hosting a education summit soon. Getting professionals to come in the education sector, to come to St. Martin, again, to impart information and knowledge, therefore building the teaching capacity. And to me, when you build the knowledge of teachers, you're building the knowledge of the nation, because the teachers in turn pass on that information and knowledge and use those strategies to ensure that the children in our school learn. And then, so that's like education, but then there's the cultural aspect. I get to work with the culture department. And then I get to work with the museum. I get to work with archives. So the great thing about UNESCO is that you get to work with different persons from different sectors of the community, and you're able to maximize your impact. So even though the office is just me working with the culture department, with the school boards, with these different organizations, expands our reach, expands our scope, and it builds the capacity of our educators, children, etc. So that's the wonderful thing.
Do people ask you where you're from?
Yes, they hear this accent. And this accent is only because I've been away for studying by from here. And when when you're around your people, the St. Martin accent comes out. And sometimes I have to go into my St. Martin twang, to let people know who are far and who I belong to. So I born here. So I have to tell them I am over the bank girl, so I have to tell them these things. I am tongue girl. So I have to emphasize that.
You make me laugh.
Yeah,
Oh
I have to, because sometimes the great thing is that you have to know how to code switch. So when I'm in a professional setting, I have to use the professional speaking. But when I'm with my people, I got to speak like my people.
Olivier, she's a tongue girl.
Yeah.
She's over the bank.
Over the bank.
I laugh because there's so much attention again on us as a people,
Correct.
And we're a multicultural island.
Yes, we are.
With people from all over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happened is that I was born very close to Over the Bank,
Yes, you were.
off street.
Yeah, I know where you're from too.
And when you look at St. Martin today, how it has changed.
Yeah, it has
It's
changed.
just amazing. And what strikes me sometimes is that people ask me where I'm from. I said, I'm surprised that
Because
they're asking me that question. But we are such a great island. And I say this is the best place in the world. And I mean it
I second that motion.
without putting on anywhere else. And when you look at what you're doing, United Nations
Education,
Education
scientific and cultural
Organization,
organization.
General Secretary for St. Martin, and you're also an educator. You're
Yes,
also a teacher at the University
that's
of
the
St. Martin,
first thing I say. I'm an educator first. When I finished I always gave reference or honor to our local university. A lot of persons don't understand the importance of USM. USM is such a wonderful institution, and we need to support our local organization. So I let them know, listen, my first experience into the university level started at USM. I did my first 2 years there, and then after I did my first 2 years, then I transitioned to UVI in St. Thomas. And when I went to St. Thomas, that's where I got my bachelor's in elementary education. And then I came back home for 1 year, and I was student teaching within the various public schools. And then after that, I went to New York. I went to Pace University.
Pace,
Yeah, that's why I went. So I was in Pace University.
I said Pace because I had an economics professor from Pace.
From Pace.
Used to drive up upstate New York to the college where I was going to teach economics. That's why.
Yeah, so I was at Pace University. I was all the way up in Briarcliff in Pleasantville.
Yeah.
But from time to time, one semester I took courses in Manhattan. So I had to catch that train, come all the way to Grand Central, subway, go to Brooklyn. So I did I did the commuting, but I love it because at that time I would have what I'm studying or reading, my Bible, whatever. I have something with me to keep me occupied. But I did that, to get my master's degree in curriculum development. So I am a curriculum developer, meaning that I make programs for schools. I've made curriculum for our FBE, foundation-based education elementary. I've made for NEPA. I've made for the University of St. Martin. And recently, I just, with the assistance of Miss Juliana Hodge and Claudia Connor, we created the St. Martin History and Cultural Program. And this is a course that I teach at USM after develop it, which is now in its third year. And over these 3 years, the course has continued to expand, and more persons keep coming to the course. They are cross-section, very young, just finishing secondary schools, to those mature individuals, to seniors. A cross-section of individuals have been taking this St. Martin History and Cultural course. So
it's a whole semester?
It's a whole semester. So for 3 months, you get to learn about Unit 1, I focus on those persons who came here. So we focus from the Amerindians going up to the Africans, enslaved Africans, to the Europeans. We focus on also the migration of St. Martiners, because that is also a major point. Where are the St. Martiners? The St. Martin has always been a migrant territory where our people were going either to St. Kitts, Dominican Republic, Panama, etc. to find work. But then you have with the economy changing from the south to tourism, then you have some St. Martiners coming back home. But not only St. Martiners, other persons coming back to St. Martin as we develop our tourism industry. So we look at that aspect, and on the economy, we also look at areas as to the government. Why is it that we are now, and different things? So we look at a whole cross-section of the island of St. Martin. So by the time you leave there, you are more knowledgeable about this island that you call your home. And my perspective, if you live here, you need to be immersed into the culture, you need to learn more. You have to become, and especially at the university level, you have to know more than the persons, any other persons on the street. You need to be more knowledgeable so that you can now go and become the teachers and educators. So that's the philosophy.
If you just joined us, I'm Earl Gibbs. This is Earl Gibbs Live. You're either watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or you're listening to us on Hot 99.9 FM radio. And my guest is Miss Henry. She's St. Martin's Secretary General for UNESCO. She's also an educator at the University of St. Martin. And you know what? A lot more things we're going to touch on.
Lots more
but
things.
You know, I was standing in the room in 1986, I think, or 87, when the University of St. Martin was launched and proposed. I don't know if I told you this before, but it was at Muller Bay in a convention center there, right next to the Gourmet Restaurant.
Okay.
And Dr. Klawati, Dr. Gabi, and Hoshin Ansari, they were all there present. And you know, the vision of the University of St. Martin at the time with Johnson and Wales School was such a good thing for a small island in the Caribbean. And then, I don't know what happened, but Johnson and Wales is no longer affiliated with the university. And we see all the obstacles and back and forth, and you've been there now for more than a decade?
I have been at USM from since 2001. So, and I've been there in different capacities. You can see even before that as a student, as an instructor, as a board member. I was also I was also a board member of USM for 5 years, and now back as an instructor. So I have seen the progression, the ups and downs of the institution, but through all of those ups and downs, I have seen its relevance and its significance and the importance of having it be recognized.
Well,
it needs to be recognized.
Look, this gets me very angry, sorry to say, because I mentioned 86, 87, Muller Bay, Johnson Wales, Klawati, Ansari, Dr. Gabi, you know, and when you look at it today, what's wrong with us? Why is it so difficult? What has been the obstacle?
I think one of the stumbling blocks has to do with the structure of the university. The university it has a board, and because it has a board, it has been a private institution.
Okay.
In order for government to fully recognize it, etc., maybe its present structure needs to be revisited. Does it want to become a state, like how we have state universities, where the actual state are the ones that make decisions about it? Maybe revisiting the structure.
Like Curacao.
Like Curacao. So I think if its structure was to change, it might be able to get the recognition that it needs. But then also what is necessary is the higher education law needs to be approved, made into law, and maybe by that being in the law, that university might be able to tap into more funding, etc. more. Because the reality is the structure of USM right now, I think that too has hindered, and not having the higher education law. So you have those two things, I think, has been an issue.
And so that if you go back to what I said earlier, at the inception of the university, in terms of the three individuals I mentioned, one being from Johnson and Wales, one being the political leader of St. Martin, and one being at that time the owner of Muller Bay Sun Resorts. So I can see it being a private institution, but at the same time, it's like, why it took so long? It's because it's a lot of years.
It's a lot of years. Again, it has to do as well with.
It's almost 40 years.
It's about 40 years. So therefore, I would say that's something the USM board have to really revisit. Do we want to maintain the same structure that we have right now? Do we?
I don't think. You see, power is a strange thing. Power and authority and abuse of power and this whole idea of I got this and I think the board, these are things sometimes we have to really get rid of. As a St. Martiner and I know I didn't bring you here for this, but I just feel that this whole process of trying to recognize the University of St. Martin and get funding, etc., and it's taking too long, and it shouldn't,
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you. We need to determine where USM will be, I guess, now, so you can progress further. But then the powers that be have to make that decision.
So we can talk about independence, but I think we got to get this problem fixed with the University of St. Martin first, and then we could go back maybe to talk about political independence. So you teach the class.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of the students in the class at the University of St. Martin?
I have had, over these past semesters, I've had 23, 24, 25 students. And that's like the maximum that USM can allow per semester before having a second course. So 25 is like the maximum. After 25 students, then you might have to split the course in two, maybe one at one time, one day, and then the other one at the other. But yes, it has been really successful, and I always I was speaking to the USM head, Miss Hodge, and I was telling her probably what we need to do is to have some of the students give testimonials on the course and its significance, because it's important for persons to know that there is a course at USM that can enhance the knowledge of our people and also help others to become now teachers of others of what St. Martin's cultural heritage is, because we tend to not see St. Martin's culture as visible as it should be, but the St. Martin culture is strong.
Yeah, it is, and we take it for granted, and we don't recognize that you can come from anywhere in the world, and if you have your children born in St. Martin, and they're going to school in St. Martin, I don't give a damn what language you speak. Let me tell you, that's St. Martin English going to come out in them.
It will come out. It doesn't matter.
It just consumes them. That tells you something about St. Martin.
Yes, it is. It tells us that our culture is alive. It is vibrant. And we need to appreciate it. We need to love it more. We need to celebrate it more.
Because, what's a culture? In a nutshell, it's a people's way of life.
It's a way of life.
That's all. A way of life.
Way we walk, way we talk, way we interact with others. These are mannerisms, dress. These are all culture.
I'm going to say for the first time, this show, Oral Gibbs Live, speaking of it, we are culture.
Yes, you are.
But people don't think that.
No, you.
It's
the archives that you possess. The knowledge that you have there on your digital, let's say in your digital library, that is priceless. I hope you have these things on insurance or something.
It's it will be extremely expensive.
Wow.
Because the value
priceless.
Is really priceless. It's a lot. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so it's going to be lost someday because the cost to really digitize all of it. A lot of them are still in analog form.
Wow.
On VHS and also on other types of medium. So it's not going to happen in my lifetime.
Well, don't worry. It can happen in your children's lifetime.
Right. That's my lifetime.
Yeah, because it's too important for the St. Martin public not to have access. And what you're doing is kind of reminding me of the gentleman Boyd Antoine in Bonaire. This gentleman has been interviewing people for years, not only from St. Martin, but also the various Netherlands Antilles. And this information right now, he has made it into a database where he kind of categorized it in those that talk about culture. So you have stories of person talking about the culture of the island. They're available. Those are talking about education, so you can see the timeline. So I think maybe you might have to categorize all of that content that you have.
Everything's in category.
Okay.
The problem is that when you look, you see, people don't realize the amount of work it takes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
I had someone doing the work for me, and I look, they were making a lot of mistakes. So I had to go
Okay.
back. So it's tedious work, and if you let others do it, they don't see the importance, and they make terrible mistakes, and then it
Okay.
mixes up everything. So that's what happened. But it's amazing where we've come from in television, because we have some huge press with videotapes, and now everything is on a small little device, so big, and we have like 2,000 shows now on one of
Wow.
those devices. That's how big it is.
Congratulations.
So technology helps a lot. So the older shows makes it more difficult for us to go back, but these new shows now it's in an instant. Yeah.
You ever thought about an internship, getting an intern, different person, or maybe person who specialize in that area to come and do an internship?
We're gonna get into Martin.
Well, no.
Okay.
There are different universities.
Yeah.
I just had the privilege of having an intern from Erasmus University, and it was more along the line of UNESCO's ideals and so forth.
Yeah.
And that person was able to do an internship with me for 3 months
Yeah.
because he was gaining a master's degree and so forth. So certain universities like Erasmus in Holland and different places like that, they do provide internships for some of their students to come to St. Martin
okay.
to work. So maybe,
All right, think about it.
or even
Yeah.
think about it, this particular digitizing being a possible project proposal for UNESCO.
All right, we'll think about that. Take care of that, right? That's good. So now, beside the University of St. Martin, we've been at. You're also in the Rotary Club.
Yes, I am a Rotarian, and I have been a 3-time president. So I've been president over the
You
Rotary
broke the
Club.
record, man.
Yeah, I've been president for the Rotary Club of St. Martin's Sunrise.
Yeah.
3 years. Well, 3 times been a president, and then on top of that, I've been an assistant governor, meaning I have been over all of the clubs here on St. Martin, St. Martin, Anguilla, and St. Bart. So I've been assistant governor and so forth. So in Rotary, I've done many things, which I'm proud of, and maybe I can share with the public some of the projects that Rotary does that maybe they may not be aware of it. And more so, I'll start with the club that I'm working at, which I'm a member of, which is the Rotary Club of St. Martin Sunrise. We have breakfast programs in 7 schools.
Really?
7 schools on St. Martin.
Still going on? Wow.
That started in my first year of my presidency, which was in 2012.
Okay.
So in 2012, when I became president, that was one of the projects that myself and my secretary then, which was Angela Gordon, both of us decided, you know what, let's go to some of these businesses in the community and see if they would be interested in sponsoring, partnering with us to have breakfast programs in schools, because it was identified as so many of our children go to school hungry. So we went to UTS. UTS was our first sponsor for our breakfast program back in 2012. And then from UTS, we got Sheriff Security, who then was added as one of our sponsors. And then over the years, we have had Sol Envy. So Sol Envy is now our sponsor for Nine O'Connor Schools. And we have had Lucky's Cosmetic, who is now the sponsor of Aranya School. So 7 schools we have right now, and there are some sponsors who choose to be anonymous, but we have been doing this since 2012.
So, UTS is now float. They're still in the program, you know?
No, they haven't. So that's something that we're going to have to revamp. Just like how we did when Saul had a change of leadership. That is something that we will do and see if Flo would still be interested. And I can't forget Windward Islands Bank, which is also one of our sponsors for the Ruby La Vega School. So we have had many corporate sponsors over the years, which we're very proud of. Some of them are no longer sponsors, but I do want to thank them for seeing the relevance and the necessity of ensuring that by ensuring children have a beautiful, warm breakfast in the morning, that they have the energy to put into learning, which is what we want.
And I must add that of all the names you mentioned, only one of them do business with us, which is the Windward Islands
Windward Islands Bank, yes.
And I think that bank is just amazing.
Yes, they are.
They realize their corporate responsibility to
That
this
is
island.
for sure.
The other business that you mentioned don't see it at times in terms of also sponsorship of shows and so forth. But I'm happy at least that they're doing something in the realm of children.
Of children,
and the
yeah.
breakfast.
The breakfast
So
program.
that program, but there are many Rotary clubs in St. Martin,
Yes,
right?
they are.
Yeah.
There is the Rotary Club of St. Martin Sunrise, St. Martin Sunset, Mid-Isle, St. Martin, and St. Martin. Also, we have 5 Rotary clubs.
Wow.
4 on the dot side, 1 on the northern side.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have more Rotary clubs than any other country in the world per square mile.
Hey, St. Martin
What
is
about
I didn't think about that, but St. Martin is an impressive country. And
I may be right?
yeah,
could
I
be
think
wrong,
we
too.
might be quite right.
I could be
think
wrong.
because St. Martin with 16 square miles, think about that, 4 Rotary clubs,
Yeah.
and then 1 on the northern side. But all of the Rotary clubs do a wonderful job. And one of the projects that I wanted to mention on the Colby Hill, you will see the signage of the 4-way test of Rotary, but then you will also see there's a number stating that if there are individuals who have mental issues, we provide a mental health hotline and we are seeing that within our society. A number of our people after post-COVID, even more so, a lot of our individuals having mental issues. So the Rotary clubs jointly came together to have with the Mental Health Foundation to have this particular hotline, so that if someone who needs that help, call and provide them with the help needed.
So you're saying that after COVID, saw like an increase in mental health?
Of course, I would say I don't have the data and
But you can see
statistics,
it's
but
very
we have
obvious.
seen it from what I see when you walk out. I basically count. I know these individuals. There were maybe 1 or 2, now they are 5 and 6. So that shows that there was an increase, and it is something that we need to not look at it and then turn our back and forget about it. We have to do something about it.
You know, I'm going to say something probably a lot of people might not like it or agree with it, but I think right now 60 or 70% of the island people have mental health problems in a minor way.
Wow.
You drive on the road, they're crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable. You see the amount of accidents and the things that people are doing. Some people are going into the roundabout and going the opposite direction
Yes,
because
I've
they
seen
don't
that.
want to go around. They want to take the shortest way. We have a bunch of crazy people in St. Martin. And they've never been like this. So
No.
properly, all the stress
Yeah.
from Irma, from COVID-19,
Yeah.
from not having a job, from food going up, gas going up.
Cost of
you know,
living is ridiculous.
they can't make ends meet. It's tough.
It's very-
Look, I may have started off a joke with it, but on a serious note,
It's a serious
it's a
issue.
big problem for a lot of people.
And that is definitely something that our mental health providers and also those in the medical field need to take heed and maybe come up with a strategic plan on how we're going to counter some of these stressful, let's say, triggers that is happening within our persons within the community, or even to tackle with those individuals that are on the road. We definitely need to call upon our professionals to lead us, to find a solution for
There's
this.
a lot of nice people. Look, there's a lot of nice people, you know. What happened is, this is the problem. Look, I drive and I have an earpiece, so I can listen to a person, and I try still not to use the phone, although my wife told me don't use it. But a lot of people, I see people using the phone, and they're driving a big truck, or they're driving a taxi, and they're texting.
Yes, they are.
All kind of people are doing it, and there's so many different things going on. It's just really, really strange. You know?
Well,
And you notice the amount of accidents on the road lately?
I noticed that as well. So that tells me that probably our, well, I don't want to say our police individuals, yeah,
But
need to
they're
be
worn out too. It's worn out.
more, maybe more police
They're
control.
worn out.
I don't
You
know.
remember? I don't know if you remember after Hurricane Lewis
Yes.
in 1995. We had a similar thing with a lot of different accidents.
Lots of it.
I remember one day I was going home to Bel Air, and this lady, who was a police officer, by the way,
Yes, yeah.
she wouldn't wait because she doesn't really. She had just moved there to Bel Air with some friends. See me coming up and decide, well, I'm going to stay on the road. So I just tried to pull up, and the car hit a piece of the window. Man, this woman got out. And she started to cuss from where your mother, from where the sun was shining, this and that. It's Hurricane Lewis stress. You know? So those days-
PTSD, post-trauma stress
Yeah.
disorder.
So you know those things happen. You know, the other
Yeah.
day somebody hit me in the back. Boom!
Wow.
Everybody in the car upset. I took it to court, I said, boy. And I don't take things. For. I realized it don't make no sense.
don't make
what
any
you fuss
sense.
about a car for, man?
Yeah.
It don't make right.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there are some individuals, some culprits out there who don't have insurance and all of those different, or even a driver's license, but
Oh,
they're on
that's
the
another-
road. So that's another part of the story there too.
Can't do an ESCO project on that one, right?
No, they gotta be legit. They gotta have a driver's license. They gotta have
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah, so I think but you know, it's amazing because I look at the island and I want to find more people like you.
Oh wow.
You know more people like you I can find?
Well, well, I know a number of my Rotarian friends, they are like me, meaning like-minded individuals who believe in service above self. I can see my fellow Rotarians are like that. And then there are a number of our educators who put themselves
Yeah.
at risk, sometimes over their family members to ensure that they educate the children within our schools and so forth. So yes, you find them in the teaching profession, education. Yes, you will find them amongst our Rotarians. But they, just like myself, they need to be able to come to your show and many of the
Yeah.
other shows to also share some of the wonderful work that they are doing.
But a lot of people are afraid.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because
Not-
what happened is, see what happened? They see me with a lot of politicians,
Yeah.
and they feel that I'm going to be tough with them too.
Yeah.
Politics is different. You know, a politician, you question them differently.
Correct,
than when
correct.
you have a regular person, but they don't realize that. I had people tell me when they got there, say, oh, God, you know, everybody tell me don't come. I said, well, why? Yeah, because you asked me a question they can't answer. It's not true.
No.
And then when the show's over, it's like,
Uh-huh.
wow. So I said, you got to tell them it's easy.
It's easy. Maybe some of them might want you to give them some questions
You see,
beforehand.
that's a problem I can't do.
Some people need that little help. Some people need that little help.
You want me
who
to give you
are-
a story about that one?
Yeah, give me that story.
I had somebody that I said, okay, let me have this person. I ask XYZ a few questions.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? They answer all the questions in 3 minutes. So I say, no.
No, you
that.
can't do
So
that.
You're nervous. Don't just come relax. I don't have nothing written down.
Correct,
And we're going to have a
correct.
conversation. We talk, and that's how it's done.
Yeah, but then again, the nerves. Not everybody, is a public speaker.
I'm nervous. I'm very scared and nervous to speak.
Yeah,
But I do it,
Yes. But I just would say practice makes perfect, as you
Yeah.
would say.
That club, you remember that club that teach people how to speak to?
Toastmasters, no, I'm not a Toastmasters individual. I did get the opportunity to present at one of the Toastmasters, and I got some critiques, which was good because that's
They
how you
critique
make. Yeah, of course, they're supposed to. That's how you make yourself better. So I was very happy for the feedback, so
Yeah.
I could perfect my skill too. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Because the teacher part always comes out in whatever I do, but these are professionals. They are the ones who are doing this every week, or maybe 2 weeks. They're giving speeches and so forth. So some of the things that they know, I don't know.
I saw it
I'm
at
happy.
I saw it at the Rolando Tobias book party.
Yes, I really, really enjoy his book
You were
launch.
surprised, huh?
Hey, that was impressive. The
Yeah.
way how he had these different individuals providing, putting together a skit, a dramatization or representation of his words in the book. It made those words in that book come alive. So it was a different twist, a different energy,
Yeah.
and something new. So I was quite impressed by that book launch.
I like the use.
I congratulate him on
Yeah.
his becoming an author.
I just said it's simple, he said, and I said it's surprising too, very surprised. I, you know, it's difficult to get me to laugh a lot, and I was laughing a lot.
You were laughing till your belly bust,
Yeah,
as for the.
Same, I don't know what is copyright, but you know.
Hey, I better not use. I'm sorry if I'm using.
I told him, I said to him, you know, boy, you make Fernando look bad, boy. You know, because
That was funny.
see how it is.
Yeah.
You don't expect that at a book launch party.
No,
you know?
you don't. You just expect a little few readings from the chapter
Yeah.
and then you go and get the book. But no, there was drama.
Yeah.
There was, there
was
was
nice.
skits. It was good poetry.
Yeah. You went
Yeah.
to Greece, understand, recently?
Yes,
was that like?
I went with a group of 6 young people and the representative from the St. Martin Youth Council to Greece. We had 6 students go to Greece for the 5th Youth Symposium, World Heritage Youth Symposium. And at this symposium, we had our 6 young people gave a presentation on St. Martin's cultural heritage.
Okay.
So they had a PowerPoint presentation talking about what makes St. Martin, so unique. And they focus on elements of our cultural heritage. They focus on our performing arts. They talk about the steel pan. There was even one of the young people, he did film himself
Yeah.
playing the St. Martin
Wow.
song. So he got everybody to stand. All of us at the symposium, we all stood for the St. Martin song while he was playing on the steel pan. They also talk about our Ponam dance, our national dance. So they talk about the different types of perform the stilt walking and all those different things. And then they talk about our food. We got to talk about our St. Martin food.
They mentioned what kind of food they mentioned?
Young people tend to emphasize the chicken leg and Johnny cake, but we had to also let them know you have the locally, you have the fish, you have the provisions, you have all of the soft fish, you have all of those different things that is St. Martin. Because what we haven't done, and that's something that the Ministry of Education and possibly the ministers and maybe the legislators need to focus on formalizing what is our national dress, what is our national food, and what is our national animal and so forth. I'll give you an example. I was over in Anguilla. I was in the British Virgin Islands. I've been Barbados. I've been many places for UNESCO conferences, and they have identified their national food and so forth. But St. Martin, we need to have it legislate. We talk about these different foods that we consider to be our national food, and because St. Martin is so eclectic, meaning we have so many various persons, we can single out, we can mention the snapper, the conchs and dumpling and all of those different things. But we need to come to a decision where we decide on what is our national food, what is our national dress. We love the floral clothing and so forth, so they focus on the floral clothing. They also focus as well on the clothing that we use to dance the Panam dance, which again is more floral. But then you also have the patchwork, the frock with the patchwork and so forth, which has also come to light as our national dress and so forth. So one of the things that coming out of this conference, which the young people did, they showed them the dress, they showed them the performing, they showed them the types of food, they focus on the St. Martin song, they focus on St. Martin being a unique country with all of these different nationalities and cultures.
I'm gonna hold it. As I thought, I have to go to a break. When I come back, I'm gonna continue.
We're gonna continue
from there.
on. We have to continue
so
from
in
that
case you
part.
just join us, my guest is Ms. Henry. She's St. Martin's Secretary General for UNESCO. And when we come back, we'll continue right here on Oral Gibbs Live. Please stay with us.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, We conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Bankomatico Plus with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Bankomatico Plus. More of the best.
My guest here in Oral Gibbs Live is Henry, and it's always good to have Miss Henry here with us on Oral Gibbs Live on YouTube, Facebook, and also on Hot 99.9 FM radio. So, Gracie was giving us a whole
Yes.
list of.
So I was talking about the presentation of the wonderful presentation of these 6 young people. And as I mentioned, they talk about the food, the dress, the performing arts, our oral traditions, and all of those different things. And the statement or the thought coming out of that presentation, and also as I'm reflecting on the course that I teach at the University of St. Martin on St. Martin Culture and Heritage, is that we need to officially have it in our ordinances and our legislation. What is St. Martin's national food? What is St. Martin's national dress? What is St. Martin's national bird? And I was alluding that with my many different visits to many countries within the Caribbean and elsewhere, they have identified one particular national bird, food, dress, etc.
But we have the pelican.
Yeah, we have that, but is it official? Is it within our national order? Is it within our legislation? Do we have a documentation that states that? So that is where I would like us to eventually have those things that we consider to be own, to be ours,
but
to be officially put into the law.
Yes, I like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
For years, we have discussed on this program with other guests, St. Martin's reluctance or whatever reason why a lot of things are not legislated.
Yeah.
I think every ministry now needs to take a look at all the areas and compile that and start to work on creating legislation where it's needed and necessary. It's not happening. It should have been done already 4 years into this new political constellation that we're in. It's called a country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. It's just not happening.
And I agree with you with that statement. And as you're speaking, my mind goes to the national symbols of St. Martin, the book by Lassana, edited by Lassana Sekou. And in that book, it clearly outlines the national food and so forth, birds and all of these different things. It's within a book. And that national symbols is a book that has been out for years. So my way of thinking is it has been out there for all these years, like you're stating. We should have transitioned over the years. We should have had that conversation. But being that we haven't had that conversation to make it into an ordinance or even have it legislate, it needs to happen now. And I'm hoping that it does materialize so that when we go and continue to do the presentations, we can have one definitive answer and have it validated by legislation. Because in Anguilla and all those places, they know what they are. Our young people, it's not that they don't know or may not know. They might have heard, but it needs to be confirmed by legislation.
Yeah.
And it's time since we have not done so.
And that's why the song that we call the St. Martin song is not an anthem.
It's not an anthem, so even that needs to be officiated. It needs to be official.
Well, these things can be very dangerous.
I know.
With that one, with that song, and the first Minister of Education, Rhoda Arundel, what she was up against. So sometimes the government want to take the lead to do something. But the people are saying, hey, no, wait, stop. We don't want that. We like it the way it is. So let's leave it the way it is.
But what comes in my mind when I hear that, you want to make sure that the correct information is transferred, is transformed from generation to generation. Because if we say, for instance, we normally say what the flamboyant tree is our national tree. Other person will say, boy, no, sir, it's a silk cotton tree.
Yes.
Other person will say, no, sir, boy, it's a tamarind tree. But by having it officially in your legislation, there's no conversation. This is what it is. Even though the others may be considered popular or those have historical and cultural
Yeah.
significance, this is what we consider. So those hard discussions and conversations need to be held so that it can be become official.
I know. I think you're so right. You know, it's important, but we're not doing it. That's the sad thing about it, huh?
Yeah, so in the meanwhile, while we haven't, I still have to teach it.
Yeah, right,
I still
right.
have to teach
Yeah.
it.
So what else you been doing?
Oh, with me, I can mention some of the projects that have been rolled out by UNESCO. One of the main projects that we have been focusing on is with the Culture Department, focusing on documenting St. Martin's intangible cultural heritage. We have the first national intangible. And when we're talking about intangible, we're talking about parts of our cultural heritage where we're focusing on our oral traditions. So we have been documenting that, our performing arts, our social practices, our festive events, our foods and all those different things, our craftsmanships,
You all forgot something.
knowledge.
What TV shows?
Our TV
Oh,
show.
I see. You gotta put on the list, man.
TV show.
We've been left out of everything.
All right, so then,
man,
well,
you guys are forgetting us.
But we're going to make
Don't worry,
our rounds.
Let's pull your leg.
I know we're going to make our rounds. So we already started the process about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, and we were able to formulate a document which we had it disseminate throughout the community.
Yeah.
Now we want to revisit the document, and we want to go back to the St. Martin community to say, do you still consider this to be part of our cultural heritage? Is there something that we missed out?
I have a question for you now, though. You see,
Yes.
going back to St. Martin community. St. Martin community is not what I think it used to be.
Yeah,
or
it's
is.
it's very
So
close.
for me,
Uh-huh.
I think when it comes to St. Martin and St. Martin cultural aspects of things and how we do things, we make a mistake sometimes by going to people
Oh.
who showed up here a few years ago, and all of a sudden they're more St. Martin than you and me. And so you and I don't have any input anymore. And I speak to a lot of St. Martin people, and they feel that too often many of them are left out of this.
Okay. So I will tell you what we did the previous years and what we plan to do again. When we started the compilation of our intangible cultural heritage inventory, we went to the senior citizens. So we went to the senior citizens at the Hope. We went to the senior citizens at John Namany. We went to the cultural organizations. So we went to the Crafters Association.
But it's just on the senior citizen. A lot of them, they're not originally from here. They came here as adults.
A lot of them
some of them
have
came old too.
Yeah, but the
So you gotta be careful how you-
the majority have been grounded in they like you say, even though they weren't born here.
Well,
a lot of them.
Wait, I'm not saying they wasn't born. See what I'm trying to say here?
Yes.
Because the month's so different than
Yeah, it
anywhere
is.
else.
It is.
We want to get the real true thing.
I agree.
So sometimes there has to be some background investigation
Of
as to how we're
course.
doing. Because what's happening in St. Martin, and believe me, Miss Henry,
Yeah.
this is a problem of what people talk about. And most of the time, the St. Martin people, grassroots, don't have a real advocate for them. You hear them say, well, how they come up with that? Well, when you look back into the whole root of it, it's not the same. You know, my
I
mother
hear what
was
you're
born in
saying.
Antigua, came to St. Martin in 1957.
57.
Still doesn't make her know what all it is about us.
Yeah.
You see, you got to be the root from here.
Yeah.
My father's different, you know? So we got to be careful. All I'm saying to you is
And I
because the people who talk to me,
that
the
information.
people who talk to me,
Uh-huh.
they don't talk to
Yeah.
your organization.
Correct.
And I'm saying, so I have to speak for them sometimes.
I appreciate that.
That got to be careful the people that you include in this thing.
And gather the information from.
And after the interview, I will tell you why I say this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for that, and I appreciate that. And just to continue from the conversation,
Right.
yes, we went to the elders. We went to individuals who know about St. Martin, persons who have lived here, persons who are born here. We felt that was necessary. We also had a national consultation with different cultural activists in the community.
So you had a committee then?
Oh yeah, we had when we met for our national consultations, we had persons from the northern sides who rooted in St. Martin culture. We had persons from the different cultural organizations rooted in. We had different persons from different sectors, so culture, agriculture, performing arts, all of these different persons. So we went to the core people that you said that we need to do. After we compile all of that information from them, we send all of that information back to them. So the people from the Cold Bay community, theater community, all those different people, where the information was sent back to them. Persons from the library.
So they can review it?
They can review it, because we can't say it's St. Martin's inventory if the St. Martin people don't agree with the content. St. Martin people are not part of the development process. So that was very key, and that's the same approach that we're going to use. Now we know, and I know we have you supposed to be coming to you too. We're going to have you throw your eyes on it too. So we're going to have the media persons also throw the eyes on it too. We didn't look at in terms of the media, we went to the community people, but that too we can include the media individuals.
The media is not basically local, let me send you. That's all. I had to win it. And I know I'm creating more friends these days.
Well, from you. We're going to make sure you
I'm creating
put
more
your
friends these days because basically, my good colleagues in this field, look, I don't want to go there, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm a unique person here in this whole field. I just wish and hope that we could see many of our more St. Martin people, real St. Martin people do it. Median St. Martin is basically from somewhere else.
Okay.
So, and that's the reason why we get the problems that we get.
Okay.
I know I had Mr. Brown here on the show, and now that and he mentioned your name as a person who DCOM was having to evaluate the media policy and whether or not. Well, look, Mr. Brown is not from St. Martin, but Mr. Brown lives in St. Martin.
Correct.
And he's provided that he gets the courtesy to go and question the people of St. Martin who are in government. Now, having said that, I cannot go to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, wash up on the shore, be a mechanic, and then call myself a journalist, and then go interview the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let's be real here.
I hear you loud and
There's
clear.
so many things happen in St. Martin that we can't do nowhere else.
Yeah,
Okay?
That's the uniqueness of the island, but also I would say some flaws as well. The flaws as well, because like you raised a very valid point. If you are going to be in the, let's say, the room, the press room in this case, and using Mr. Brown as an example, if you're going to be in that context, you want to ensure that you have your professionals or the experts or persons knowledgeable in those areas to be in those rooms, be in those platforms. So I understand what you're saying. And with St. Martin, we don't always look for the biggest, the best, and the brightest and most proficient to be in these areas, while in other countries, it's a must.
But you see, no.
It's a must.
No, he's filling a void. Mr. Brown is filling a void.
That is correct.
Ms. Henry,
Yes,
when
he
I
did.
came back to St. Martin, I had a whole year looking for a job. I was told to go by LBC TV, to go here, there, whatever.
Yeah.
I started my own business. That's how I started, okay? And so I came back to St. Martin in 1983.
83.
All right? That's a long time ago. And in that span of time, I don't see any St. Martin people at all. Someone said to me the other day, they said, you know what, or maybe you should have been driving a Mercedes-Benz or BMW to motivate our young people to want to jump into that. But it's not me. My car is 20 years old. I drive an old car.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
I don't have to show off in anything. But
Gotcha.
a lot of people see things and, okay, that guy or that woman is doing that. Look what they drive. I got to be that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah,
You
that's
got to have a
wrong.
love and a passion for it.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is that these people that come to Simar, like Lyndon Brown, we call him Mr. Brown, and all the others from Guyana, Trinidad, you name it, they're filling a void because our people are not doing it. So what happened now? There's only one. It's me.
Yeah.
So they gang up against me when they're ready to, and they'll have their function. They won't let me know, so I wouldn't know what's going on.
Okay.
They have the media club, and I'm not invited. See what I'm trying to say?
I hear what
But
you're
if
saying.
we had, and people don't like to hear it, but it's a fact. If we had, like in Curacao, I met you Curacao people, it'll be different. And the politicians, the government would have more respect. Government don't respect the media in St. Martin because it's not made up of St. Martin people.
Yeah.
And they're scared. They want to be nice and friendly with the ministers and MPs and everybody. They're not going to ruffle feathers. They're not going to ask
I
the kind
see
of
what
question
you're
that I'm going to ask.
Okay, I see
So
what you're saying.
all of this is a part of our culture. You know, we do things. I'm sorry that I
No,
put it
you
like
need
that,
to
but I'm
speak.
just
You
telling
need.
how it is,
No,
huh?
it's from the conversation. These are impromptu
Yeah.
conversations that we're having.
That's
and
what
it came up.
that's my view.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And you are entitled to your view based on your experience, your lived
But it's
experience.
basically factual
And
too. It's not-
exactly,
it's
your
not made
lived.
up. It's
Exactly.
a view, and
Your lived
I
experience.
experienced it, and I know it's a
Yeah.
fact. You see,
Yeah.
so those are things that happen. So it's very difficult at times to get things to be done the right way, or the way we want it as a St. Martin people.
Well, that tells, from the conversation that we're having, that tells me that we need our St. Martin journalists to fill
We
those
need
voids.
people from St. Martin to
I know.
study.
Yeah,
and
to
come back
focus
to
on that
work.
journalism
But we need
background.
but they need the support of the private sector and government. But then how you get it? Because if you have a news organization, you're going to die, basically, because there's no advertising dollars. News agencies or media houses survive off of advertising.
Advertisement.
But it's not there anymore either. So
Yeah.
you see that it's a double-edged thing. And again, what makes you go to Curacao, it's amazing.
The way how it has been
and St.
developed.
Martin is just the opposite. I don't want to talk more about it because it's like, I don't want to put you in the spot.
Yeah.
And it just gets people upset when they hear the facts because they don't realize what's going on.
Okay.
But we're in a danger of continuing to get misinformation. And if we don't, the way to change that, moving on in the future, is getting our own people in a way.
Okay.
Not saying that these are not doing it, but it's just that you can't ask someone to do for you what you really have to do yourself in this
Okay.
case. And that's,
Hey,
and
that's a valid point
the-
as well.
Yeah.
And a valid
So what
point.
else you got?
Yes, some other things that UNESCO is doing with the Funtopia organization.
That's a great project.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, that's one of those organizations that continue to share the St. Martin performing arts, cultural heritage with the St. Martin community and the world. And Funtopia is at this moment a recipient of funding from UNESCO, where they were able to train young people in the majorettes. So we're trying to get some of
That
those.
too? Yeah.
So they received funding for revamping the majorette. So for the cultural parade last year, they made their debut. So we have majorettes. What they are now focusing is the maypole dance. So the maypole, so the Funtopia, again, funding from UNESCO, they are focusing on having that skill, be taught, and Miss Clarice with the Funtopia are training individuals to be able to do that proficiently. So that's something else that the UNESCO has funded. We have our wire bending program with Mr.
Wire bending.
Wire bending, those wire that you use for making your troops and all
Right.
of those different things, making craft. We have Mr. Lambert Holder for these past years who have been in the afternoon school programs of St. Joseph, Sister Borgia, the Max School in Arania.
So I'm the kite thing too.
And the kite, yes, the kite competition. That's also something that we are revamping. And then we are also going to be focusing on, again with Funtopia, drum making of drums from the skin and also the playing of drums. So UNESCO is also funding that.
So your father used to fly kite?
Hey, my father, the over the bank people, French Quarter. My father from French Quarter. And then later on in his life came over the bank. So it is French Quarter days, yes. So they those
I
things.
mentioned that because you mentioned kite flying.
Yeah.
As a little boy, we used to have kites flying with the tail and everything else.
Yes.
Your father's a few years older than I, but I know him all my life.
Yes. Mr. Bennett.
Yeah.
Mr. Benedict
Yeah,
Henry.
so, now, let me show you now.
Yes.
You think another person can do a television interview like this with you?
Hey, you're
Not
doing
possible.
Yeah,
you
you're
think
doing-
a guy from St. Vincent and the Grenadines or from Guyana could ever do this kind of show? Huh? Let's be real here.
You're able to
This is a real home thing, right?
You're able to pinpoint those things that are similar.
That's what we're trying to point out to
Yeah,
you.
that's it. And that's something you've proven that.
That's the beauty.
The St. Martin
I travel through the Caribbean. When you see what they're doing, it's not a guy from St. Martin doing it. It's their own people.
Yeah.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Okay, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
So,
Yes.
those of you are a little uncomfortable while talking, but
Yeah, it's just that I was uncomfortable because I know some of these individuals, and I know these individuals that are, like you said, they are taking those spaces, or they're filling those spaces or positions where our St. Martin people are not yet there. So I am hoping with our young people who are now out can study financing and so forth, I'm hoping that they will eventually come back and be able to shadow these individuals and then eventually take those posts, which is, yes. So the only way I was kind of hesitant, because I know these individuals and I know that they have helped to fill the void, and they have done, well, I can't say all, but a lot of them have done an exceptional job.
And by the way, the people that came here and made it a home, their children are St. Martiners.
Yes, their children are born here.
As I always said, the oral give doctrine,
They're
you're
here.
born here, you're St. Martin, period.
They're
That's it, no
born
question. I
here.
don't want to
Yeah.
explain to nobody nothing.
Yeah.
Because this is other nonsense we got. Oh, yeah, but my father from Curacao, my mother. So what are you trying to tell us? You're born here.
You're
Don't be
born
ashamed
here.
of it. Be
Yeah.
say with pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But my other point, I would say that these individuals, because they have made a contribution, we also need to acknowledge that.
Acknowledge our own first, though.
Yeah, I know. I have no problem.
I think
Acknowledge our
we
own.
can't understand at home. And
I
we're not
agree.
doing that. So
I-
because we're
that
not
is our
doing that,
downfall.
is why I said to you,
Valid point.
so
We need to acknowledge our
we're
own
gonna do
as
that.
well.
We gotta start home first.
Yeah.
Because
I
if
hear
we
what you're
don't start
saying.
at home first, that's why we have all these problems.
Yeah.
Because we are acknowledging everybody else,
But we're not acknowledging our
not
own.
our own.
And
So
that,
it's unfortunate.
yeah, and you're also raising a very significant point. And when you're talking, I'm also thinking about the word of Bob Marley, and even that of in the Bible with the prophet not being recognized by his own people.
Yeah.
And that is something that you're stating now, that we need to do a better job. Recognize our local individuals. Recognize those who may not be in front of the cameras or behind this, where they are always visible, but acknowledge it, let the community know, and praise them for it.
Yeah, our island, Miss Henry, is like,
Yeah.
if you're a minister, government, or a member of parliament, you serve your country and you left, the people don't recognize you or respect you. You go anywhere, you're treated like you just came off a boat to wash up on the shore.
Yeah.
Martin,
We have to do better.
we don't treat people
Like they should.
You go to the Dominican Republic,
Boy, they
the countries,
respect their people.
and the office you held, even if you're not in that office anymore, the respect that person get. We don't do that in St. Martin, and I think that's unfortunate too. So I'm pointing out to you the different things in culture, not that you got to do it, but that we recognize what we're doing to ourselves, our people, you know what I mean?
And by having these conversations, we're bringing it to the forefront. And by bringing things to the forefront, we have started that ripple and that change.
But this kind of conversation do get a lot of people angry though.
I know, but that's what happens when change is about to happen. You're gonna ruffle some feathers and so forth, but the conversation, the idea, it's out there, and it's going to take root with those persons who agree with what you're saying, agree with what I was saying. It's going to take flight.
See, because what happened too is that we having this conversation here, and I'm talking and telling you things, and people are forming opinions.
Yeah.
Those who don't have an opinion of me already, which most people do.
Yeah.
But it's not accurate.
Okay.
And others who are now forming it will say, hey, he don't like fathers. That's not true. You see? And I said this a million times.
And continue to say it.
A million times. I got to take care of my own first.
Yeah.
And after I take care of my own, I'll take care of everybody else. But I can't take care of everybody else and leave out my own.
Correct.
And that is what's been happening in St. Martin. So because 95% of us take care of others first, not our own, then those like myself now, who are doing just the opposite, say, hey, we take care of St. Martin first, then we take care of others. They're viewed by their own people who they're trying to help as villains, and by the outsiders too. So you see, so people see that and they don't want to get involved and work on things the way they want to. You are doing a remarkable job. You as a St. Martin person. People can't. You're a dinosaur basically. Just can't you.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Give me 5 like you. Give me 3. I can't find them.
Don't worry.
That's why we're so proud of you, man.
As the educator, you see, my teaching cap always comes in. Again, by me being this showcase again and in front of this camera on your radio, by these conversations that we're having, I know that those persons who are similar to myself are listening, they're hearing. And don't be surprised, year or two from now, they'll be here too.
Don't worry,
they'll be here too. And I'll be there and you'll be there pushing them forward.
And let me look, I love everybody. Caribbean, American, I love everybody. I have a soft heart, but I have a mean-looking face. I walk outside there, I don't smile. I'm not a smiling guy. And because I'm not a smiling guy, people see that as different. But hey, man, I'm a cool guy.
Hey, they listen to this particular program, today's program, they're going to, let's say, get another insight into who you are.
But I'm so happy to have you because I can't have this kind of conversation with anyone,
Wow, well, my pleasure to be here.
Icon.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Imagine icon.
I know about that status yet, but yeah, I always view myself as a teacher first, educator first.
I got to be so careful.
Yeah.
Because, I don't want you to have enemies. I want you to have everybody as a friend because what you're doing is so good. So all your enemies, I'll take them over. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Because, again, you are not recognized enough for what you do as a St. Martin lady. All right? So
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I think most of them need to know about you. So
I appreciate
always
that.
a pleasure having you.
A pleasure to be here. Pleasure to share with the community some of the things that I do. There's so much more, but again, I'll keep coming. Whenever you extend the invitation to me and I have the opportunity, I'll be here to shed light on some of the exceptional, wonderful job that UNESCO is doing, and I myself and the different organizations that I participate in are doing.
Let me ask you, you said UNESCO have every 2 years
Every
project.
2
When is the
years.
next year coming up?
Well, I just submitted the projects. We're in 2024.
Yeah.
So I will be collecting projects. So anyone out there who's interested in getting projects to me, I'll give Earl my email address, henrymarcellia@gmail.com, in October, November. October, November, I gather these projects so that I can have them perused, reviewed, and then get ready to go to UNESCO.
Well, Ms. Henry, I want to thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Sorry for making you feel a little uncomfortable.
No. That is necessary because you're having true conversation. And by youth, it gets me to reflect. And that's important. That's what we educators do.
Talking about some of our people, and as I say, St. Martin, a great place.
Yes,
great
it
people.
is.
St. Martin people are very good people.
Yes, they are.
All right, and you're an example.
Thank you.
You take care, all the best. All right?
Thank you so much for
Thanks,
allowing me
man.
to be here.
Thank you. And that's it for now on Earl Gibbs Live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. See you next time. Take care. Bye.